I want to tell you a story. In 1796, a very well-respected doctor named Edward Jenner, living in England, was a leading expert on a terrible disease that was spreading all over Europe and killing many people, and that disease was called smallpox. If you haven't heard of it, it was bad. If you caught it, you could spread it. The contagion rate was 5 to 7, meaning you could spread it to 5 to 7 people. You would generally spread it to 5 to 7 people, and much of the time it was deadly. If you didn't die, it would cause blindness, scarring. You got very, very sick. And it's just generally a terrible disease, and they could not find a cure. But Edward Jenner, Dr. Jenner, was really, really trying. One day, he got a call to treat a young lady, a milkmaid. He was living in Gloucestershire, England, and he had to ride his horse very far because this place was way out in the country, like where I live, even further. And he met with a young lady who was forlorn. She showed the scar on her hand, and he thought, you're a milkmaid. May I see your cows? She thought that was a very strange question. She's thinking, I need you to treat my smallpox, not look at my dairy farm. But she allowed him to see the cows. He went out and looked and checked underneath the cows' udders. That's where you milk them. He noticed they had pox. They had little bumps, blisters, and he knew what that was. He had an idea. See, his idea was based on medical knowledge. He knew that the young lady did not have smallpox. She definitely had a form of pox, but it was not as severe, not nearly as severe. In fact, it was mild compared to smallpox. And he knew that if you caught smallpox once, you couldn't catch it again. So he needed to try an experiment. He invited the young lady back to his office, and he needed to find a child because most of the time at this time period, adults had already been exposed to smallpox. He needed somebody who had not been exposed. So he asked his gardener if his gardener's 8-year-old boy would be able to be a test subject for this experiment. And the gardener was very hesitant, but he did believe in Dr. Jenner. And he said, yes, okay. So he allowed his, I think it was an 8-year-old little boy named James Phipps, to be infected with the cowpox. It's kind of gross, but Dr. Jenner rubbed the blister into a little cut he made on the little boy's arm, and they waited. And yes, the little boy got sick. The gardener thought he'd made a massive mistake. He thought, what have I done? My child is sick. My child is going to die. I wish I had never, ever agreed to this crazy idea. But then, all of a sudden, the boy woke up feeling much better and improved quickly. And he was cured of his cowpox. And guess what? He never caught smallpox or cowpox again. And so that was the beginning of the very first vaccine. Now, this idea did take a while to catch on to the general public. Of course, other doctors and other people around Europe were very hesitant because it seems so counterintuitive to infect yourself with a similar disease as to what you could die of. But eventually it worked, and the word spread, and people began getting vaccinated, and the vaccinations got better and more specific and more refined, and more vaccinations for more and more diseases were developed. And in fact, the World Health Organization was able to eradicate smallpox. 1977 was the last case, and 1980, the last lab-generated case was eliminated. So we eliminated smallpox. Now let's talk about how this relates to measles. In the same way, we had a vaccine for measles. So successful that by the year 2000, the United States had eradicated measles. Likewise, areas around the world, some had eradicated measles as well. Not everybody. between the years of 2000 and 2016, there was an 80% worldwide reduction in measles cases. Unfortunately, that progress has been rolled back. I'm sure you've heard of the measles outbreaks going on in Texas, for one. Why is that? Well, there's a few reasons. One is vaccine hesitancy. There's been a lot of misinformation spread about the safety or lack thereof of vaccines. This is based on lies, misinformation. Multiple scientific studies have proven that vaccines do not cause autism. They are safe, and it's much better to get them. They cause herd immunity. Another reason is during COVID, some people had a lack of access to vaccines. So, yeah, we had eradicated measles in the United States, but now it's back. The bottom line is we were on the verge of eradicating measles globally, and now it's back. We can still eradicate measles with sustained vaccination efforts and educational campaigns to inform people. But it will take a lot of effort, and the fight was a lot harder than it was 10 years ago. So, if you know the vaccines are safe and you get vaccinated and you get your kids vaccinated, please try to spread the word to your family and friends. And if you're hesitant, if you're still afraid, you're not sure, please educate yourself. Please educate yourself. Keep our children and our population from a disease that is preventable and was almost wiped off the face of the earth. Thank you.